Hello and welcome to my review of the Chaos Space Marines Sorcerer. Hope you're enjoying this December's advent calendar of videos. Sisters of Battle Army set came out, so there will be reviews of those models dotted about the place rather than every single day a Sisters of Battle review. I'm going to pepper in some different factions and different types of videos throughout December. I did say I'd give you a video every day. So far I have kept up with that promise. So welcome to Warhammer Wednesday. Because it's Warhammer Wednesday, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you all, ask the community of Channel Super Saiyan, what other videos you'd like to see in December. If you don't suggest a video, I've got plenty in the pipe work that I can put up for December, so don't feel like there's too much pressure for a suggestion. But if there is anything that you'd like to see, please do put it in the comments and I'll try and do my best throughout the rest of December. Anyway, on to the review itself. This is a Chaos Space Marines Sorcerer. It just came out last weekend. It will cost you £17.50. When painted, he'll look something like this. Absolutely fantastic. Love the paintwork there and the Black Legion. He's got this psychic power that he's summoning. Equally, he looks good with that psychic power as green. At the open day they had the two versions there painted. They look stunning. £17.50 is about right for these kind of single miniatures. The Death Guard ones a couple of years ago were £17.50 each. It's nice that we get a Chaos Sorcerer, you know, a standard plastic one on its own, because for a many number of years we've had this Sorcerer Lord in Terminator armour, which is the same price and you can make lots of different options for him, but it's great that we've got one in just the power armour, you know, a little bit cheaper in terms of points and things like that. Death Guard don't have a Sorcerer as well. You could use the Malignant Plague Caster, I suppose, as a Death Guard Sorcerer, and now you can use this Chaos Sorcerer as sort of a Death Guard Sorcerer if you wish. So it's great that we get another new Chaos Space Marine model. Yes, it would have been great to have him earlier on in the year in the Vigilus campaign, but he does tie in with the Psychic Awakening Faith and Fury book. I've recently did a first look at that book, and it, you know, it's very rigid formula, very rigid. You've got rules for the battle forged armies, for the other main Chaos legions, the 6 of them, the Word Bearers, the Night Lords, Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, Emperor's Children and World Eaters. Now there's nothing stopping you from using this Sorcerer as your Warlord and having him as the Warlord traits. The Warlord traits are very decent. What I would have liked to have seen in a Psychic Awakening book campaign is more psychic powers, like specifically for Word Bearers and all the other legions, because we've had specific psychic powers, of course, for Thousand Suns and Death Guard and so on. Word Bearers specifically get this artifact called the Malefic Tome, which you could technically say he's got, which allows him to know one additional psychic power from their chosen discipline. But other than that, there are other little artifacts that are for, you know, other kind of HQ choices. I don't want to go too much into the Faith and Fury book because it is a little bit disappointing compared to all the Vigilus stuff. But if you've seen the trailer on the community website, you'll have seen that I think Thousand Suns and Dark Angels will come into the play, and if they don't release Lionel Johnson coming back, then yeah, it's going to be pretty lackluster. Anyway, moving on to this review, because I don't want to spend too long on other tangents. Let's have a look at the model. Fantastic looking model, I think. Lots and lots of detail. For me, it looks like it was designed and made in the, you know, with the rest of the Chaos Space Marine models. It's that kind of, I say plastic, that kind of design that they've gone for. Very spiky, you know, spiky force stave. The psychic power looks brilliant. He's conjuring up. Everything works really well. You've got his tome there. You've got the shoulder pauldron with this ram's head. You've got the power plant with these serpents or dragons, whatever they're called. You've got some little eyes there. You've got some more snakes for the exhaust vents. You've got a lovely bit of spiky kind of detail on his cloak. Got another eye there on that pauldron. On his greaves, you've got another chaos symbol, and his stave has got this head on it too, with a normal bolt pistol. And some bones there wrapped up in his belt. He's got like a belt of bones. His face, kind of screaming, whatever, you know, he looks very angry. He kind of got like a psychic hood. I know psychic hood sort of protects psychers from, you know, I say perils of the warp, but, you know, it's this kind of opposite of a psychic hood. It's sort of encasing his head, and then he's got some bones there, or teeth on his head with some pipes and tubing. Lovely model, nice action pose, sort of walking forward, summoning stuff. The psychic power, this summoning thing, I think you've got to be very careful that you don't snap that off. It's only held there by his sort of third finger, so I'd be very careful with that. But other than that, yeah, decent looking model, carries a lot of weight. We're going to compare him with a load of other Chaos Space Marine models now. So the first thing I like to compare him to is a very relevant model size-wise, is a Lord of Discordant. No, probably not, but Lord of Discordant is massive compared to him, clearly. But there you go, that's him next to one of those. Next to a Master of Possession, which is another Psyker, right here. He kind of looks like he's got a jump pack, but he doesn't. He's sort of leaping though. So that's him next to Master of Possession. Much taller, bit of a presence sort of height wise. Next to another Sorcerer. This is a Terminator, Sorcerer in Terminator armor from Forge World. Now you think that's a summon, this is a summon, and he's got his 4 sacks too. But yeah, he still looks a bit small in that Terminator armor compared to the normal Chaos Space Marine. You've got someone that isn't a Psyker, but you know, still pretty relevant, is a Dark Apostle. We just compare him sort of size wise there. Similar height, Dark Apostle's taller, I want to say, with a lot more presence. It's got that book on fire and just lots of fire everywhere, but works really well with him. Also works well with the Master of Executions and a Chaos Lord, so you could have all of those. That would be pretty awesome. You got the Sorcerer, the sort of melee champion. You've got the sort of, you know, dark chaplain, and then you've got the Lord himself. All on the same basis. They work really well together. The aesthetics are similar throughout all of these 4 models. They look fantastic. You know, even if you just wanted the Lord and the Sorcerer, they work very well too. Then next to a normal Chaos Space Marine right here, one of the coolest looking ones. Similar sort of height. I'd say the Sorcerer's a tiny bit taller. Probably the pose more than anything, but definitely has more presence, and you could have him, you know, leading your armies, absolutely no problem. He's got as much character, if not more, than the other HQ choices that they released earlier in the year. So a couple more size comparisons. It's just next to a normal Space Marine right here. Yeah, definitely taller than one of those. He comes up to sort of almost his head height. And then a Primaris. Primaris is just a little bit taller, sort of half a head taller or so. Well, the Sorcerer's head goes up to his shoulder pauldrons at least. So yeah, Primaris will be, you know, taller than the Sorcerer, than the HQ, but then again, a Primaris army in general will be taller than a Chaos Space Marine one. So I hope those size comparisons have helped. I like to be very thorough and use as many models in my range as possible to give you that comparison. This is my part of the review where I'll go through all of his rules, and you'll find them in your brand new Chaos Space Marine Codex, which came out earlier this year in 2019. You'll find him in the HQ section next to the Sorcerer in Terminator armor. He's a power points cost of a 6 and a points cost of 90. If you compare him to the Sorcerer in Terminator armor, Sorcerer in Terminator armor is a power points cost of a 7, but a points cost of 102. So you're paying an extra 12 points for that Terminator armor, and the Terminator armor does allow the sorcerer to teleport in and give him a 5+ invulnerable save, as well as an extra wound. But everything else is the same. Obviously, movement speed is a bit slower with a Terminator. So speaking of which, the stat line reads movement of 6 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill are both 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, and 4 wounds. He's also got 3 attacks, his leadership is 9, and his save is 3+. He's armed with a force sword, bolt pistol, frag grenades and crack grenades. So bolt pistol is usual, 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 4, AP 0 and a damage of 1. It says that he's equipped with a force sword. This one isn't. He's equipped with a force stave. The Terminator one that I've got is equipped with a force axe. But the difference is that the stave adds +2 to his strength, so he's attacking with a strength 6. AP is only -1 and a damage of D3, whereas the axe is only 1 strength, only gives him 1 extra strength, which is a bit odd, but does improve the arm penetration to -2. And the force sword doesn't add any buffs to the strength, but it is a AP -3, so it beats it in terms of arm penetration. But same damage for all of them. Frag grenades and crack grenades work as normal. The model may replace its bolt pistol with 1 item from the pistols, combi weapons or melee weapons list. That's pretty good. So you can have a melee weapon along with you know, one of the force weapons, or you can have a combi weapon along with that. This guy I haven't decided. I'd probably say he's just got that pistol that's on his holster. The model may replace its force sword with a force stave or force axe, and the model may take a jump pack, power rating +1. If it does, move characteristic is increased to 12 inches, and it gains a jump pack and fly keywords. If it's got jump pack, it can have the ability jump pack assault, which means during deployment, if the model has a jump pack, you can set it up high in the skies instead of placing it in the battlefield, and at the end of any of your movement phases, the model can assault from above, set it up anywhere from the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. And the other ability is Death to the False Emperor, which I'll just refresh for you because it's been a while since I did any Chaos Space Marine reviews, and that is each time you roll a hit roll of 6+ for a model with this ability in the fight phase, it can, if it was targeting an Imperial unit, immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon. So that's pretty good. You know, he's only got 3 attacks, but if you get those 6s, you get an extra attack. This model can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers in each friendly psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 in each enemy psychic phase. It knows Smite and 2 psychic powers from the Dark Hereticus discipline. And seen as it is a psyker, I will go through the psychic powers in the Dark Hereticus discipline. Before I do that, I'll just say the keywords is Chaos, Hereticus Astartes, Character, Infantry, Psyker and Sorcerer. So the Dark Hereticus discipline, you've got your, you know, before the battle you can generate psychic powers for the psychers that can use Dark Hereticus discipline using the table below. You can either roll a d6 to generate the powers randomly with re-rolling duplicates, or you can just select the powers you wish them to have. Personally, I'd rather just pick them, but there you go. If you can have Mark of Chaos psychic powers, so you can replace one of the Dark Hereticus ones with one with the appropriate Mark of Chaos one. You know, if you've got Mark of Tzeentch, you've got Weaver of Fate's power. If you've got Mark of Nurgle, you've got Miasma of Pestilence. And then if you've got Mark of Celeste, you've got Delightful Agonies. Clearly, you know, and obviously there's no Mark of Khorne because they're, you know, anti-psyker. But still, it's nice that you can tailor make it, and it just goes back to what I said, having this Chaos Sorcerer as, you know, a Death Guard Sorcerer, if you want to use him that way. For me, he's just going to be a standard one. He's in my Word Bearer's army. He's nothing to do with my Death Guard. But the Dark Hereticus discipline, you've got 6 normal psychic powers. You've got Infernal Gaze, which has a warp charge value of 5, whereby you select a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of the psyker and you roll 3 dice. Target suffers 1 mortal wound for each roll of 4+. Pretty good. You know, you've got 3 chances of getting 50. You've got 3 goes of getting 50-50 chance of getting a mortal wound on the unit. 2 is Death Hex. It's a warp charge value of 8. It's a bit more pricey and shorter range of 12 inches. And Until the next psychic phase, unit cannot take invulnerable saves. That's very useful. Gift of Chaos, warp charge value of 6. Select an enemy unit that is within 6 inches of the psyker and visible to him and roll a d6. If the result is greater than the target's toughness, it suffers d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. If a character is slain by this power, you can add a Chaos Spawn to your army and set it up within 1 inch of the character before it's removed. That's incredible. Basically turns characters into Chaos Spawns, and it probably would with the d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Prescience, or Prescience as people call it. Prescience has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select a Heretic Astartes unit within 18 inches of Psyker. You can add 1 to hit rolls made for that unit until the start of the next psychic phase. Very decent. Diabolic Strength and warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select Heretic Astartes model within 12 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, you add 2 to that model's strength characteristic and 1 to its attack characteristic. Again, very, very decent. Yeah, adding 2 to the strength. Could easily use that with a Lord Discordant or Master of Executions or something that already is quite beefy in combat. Warp time, value of 6. 3 inches of the Psyker. It can move as if it was a movement phase. You can't use warp time on a unit more than once per psychic phase, but that's good. You know, that's going to add, warp time adds a bit more, you know, it just adds another movement speed. So if things are slow, like Terminators or something, or cumbersome units, you can just give them an extra movement speed. So all of those psychic powers are very, very strong, very decent, and, you know, Chaos Psychers are usually some of the best in the game. And that is why, because I've got access to these psychic powers. So yeah, Chaos Sorcerers, not to be overlooked. This model, not to be overlooked. It's a very decent model, and it goes some way in repairing a little bit of the disappointment of Faith and Fury. What do you guys think of this model and his rules? I'm just very glad we've got another Chaos model. Hopefully we're going to get some more in the not too distant future. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. Death to the False Emperor.